Hello, welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candito.
We're coming back with some more Mortal Kombat once again. You thought we were done with Mortal Kombat? Hell no, brother. We're coming on in with Mortal Kombat 10. Ooh, yeah.
I see someone's in the holiday spirit, or at least the WrestleMania spirit.
Yeah, because you know what? There's, people might think that there's Easter Sunday. No. It's WrestleMania Sunday, brother. Right. That's the one.
You need to be more sweaty.
Yeah, exactly. Just yell more and get all wide-eyed and so on. But before that all happens and so on like that, we've been playing through some of the Mortal Kombat 10, following it up with Mortal Kombat 9. It's just like after you play 9, you just kind of go, let's just go into 10. Why not? And of course we did some of the movies and so on like that. And I feel like this is all leading up towards there's going to be the new Mortal Kombat movie this year. Hopefully, it'll be better than whatever 2021's, but you never know. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt until we watch it. Yeah, people can learn from their mistakes, So, Mortal Kombat 10 though is I will say the one thing that's really interesting though is when you start this game off, it legitimately feels like you missed the game in between.
Yeah, you do. There's like I know it takes place after 9, of course. At the end of 9, everyone's basically dead. You have Raiden, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade as playable characters that return. There's a few maybe that I didn't realize didn't die, and they're still there. Some that weren't really in Mortal Kombat 9 as far as the story mode goes, like Kenshi. He shows up and he's there. But yeah, it kind of throws you right in the middle of a war between the Netherrealm and Earthrealm. You learn later on, not too long later, but not too far later on in the story, but you learn that Outworld kind of said like, we're neutral. We don't have nothing to do with this, dicks. But you're Johnny Cage. You start as Johnny Cage and you fight Scorpion and Sub-Zero as Revenants. Funny. I mean, Scorpion's already a Revenant.
Yeah, he's double Revenant now.
I kind of wondered about that one because I wondered why Scorpion was even involved, because he really didn't have anything to do with Shinnok. He was just a pawn of Quan Chi. Well, I guess it's because Quan Chi was alive, so I guess he was.
Quan Chi just if Quan Chi appears in the story, he's bound and determined just to resurrect Shinnok. He's got no other purpose in life but to do that. One of these days he's gonna find some other demigod to befriend. But nope. Quan Chi's always here for that.
Yeah.
Because this is it starts off because it's I guess there's technically two storylines rolling in Mortal Kombat 10. You got the 20 years after Mortal Kombat 9. And then you have the story that's 2 years after Mortal Kombat 9, which they tell in prequel little bits and so on. And it really kind of runs like a alternative version, I guess you'd say, of Mortal Kombat 4, just simplified, where it's okay, here's Shinnok, he's the main villain, and Johnny Cage has to go up and fight him. And it's almost like it feels like it's the very end. It almost feels like you're watching a previously on Mortal Kombat 9.5.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't play Mortal Kombat 9.5. It's did I miss something?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I kind of forgot. I'm glad we played through this because I appreciate this game now a bit more after replaying it than I did prior. And there was a few things that I was like, man, what the hell's up with that game? And the story was kind of whack with they're jumping around. But and that's because I guess I wasn't paying attention the first time I played it through with how, they start out with the Netherrealm war. Johnny Cage beats up. Defeats Shinnok, traps him in the amulet. Quan Chi runs off, and a few of the Revenants are saved. But you don't see that quite in the beginning. And it jumps in time, 20, 25 years, something like that, to now we have the kids of Sonya or the child of Sonya and Johnny, Cassie Cage, who I really never enjoyed as a character too much. And then you have... Jackie Briggs, so Jax's daughter, and then Takeda, Yamanashi, whatever the hell his last name is. Takeda is the son of Kenshi, and he's been trained by Scorpion and Shirai Ryu. And then you have Kung Jin, the
cousin,
Chat GPT homosexual monk. of Kung Lao or whatever he is. I don't know. I didn't know he was gay. I didn't pick up on that. But
no, I thought that was hilarious. I was just kind of reading up on Mortal Kombat 10, and then ChatGPT's like, yeah, by the way, Kung Jin's the first gay character in Mortal Kombat, and so I like that. I'm like, well, you didn't see Quan Chi? I thought that was the first gay character in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so like,
it's funny is there's a line later on in the game.
Oh, go ahead. I think it was catching up.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say
what's kind of funny is there's a line later on in the game after they capture Quan Chi, Johnny Cage says something to him like something about like we got straps or whatever, but like what's your safe word or something? He asked Quan Chi that.
Oh yeah, funny. Totally. I just thought it was funny because I was just doing the research on the Chat GPT and then going through Mortal Kombat, and it was like, oh yeah, Kung Jin or whatever. Like he's like, yeah, he mentions a line like when he goes there. This is further in the story, but like when he go further in the story, yet it's also a prequel part, where he's going to rob Raiden's fucking like trophy room and whatnot. And Raiden, of course, like schools him and then tells him like, "Yo, let me tell you about this and stuff." He's like, "Hey man, they won't accept me at the monk college or anything like that. They want to stick to tradition." And for some reason, that line means he's gay. I just thought that line meant like, "Yeah, it's because you're a fucking thief."
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they don't trust you. You know what I mean? Maybe. They're like, we're going to have to get lockers now and everything like that. We used to just live off trust, but, nobody's going to want to, be hanging around this guy thinking that you're going to lose your, your meal or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because, like you said, he's a fucking thief. Maybe it's because he, I don't know, is not exactly, he doesn't fight the same way that Liu Kang and Kung Lao do. He carries around some like spirit bow or something, kind of like Night Wolf, He didn't look like a whooshy monk to me. But anyway, yeah, I was like, well, okay, cool, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. But yeah, so it jumps forward in time to, these offspring of the other combatants.
Yeah, and, the Kombat Kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Kombat Kids. And I remember kind of not caring about that at all. I didn't want to play as them before. I wanted to play as some of the characters we already knew. But this second playthrough, I really didn't mind, actually. I really liked Takeda, playing as Takeda. Kung Jin, even, I enjoyed playing. Jackie Briggs, actually. I remember before I didn't like playing as Jackie Briggs, but I actually kind of enjoyed playing as her, too. Cassie Cage is probably my least favorite out of the four. And even though I like Takeda, I don't play very well with Takeda either.
Yeah.
But his X-ray attack, I can't seem to do it.
I think it's another mid-air one, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Yeah.
Which is dumb. But
yeah, the mid-air one, everybody knows what you're doing because it's like, oh, he's jumping. Like, I wonder what he's gonna do. He's got a full bar.
Yeah. But the
so the computer's like, yeah, don't forget about it. We're just gonna block it. Don't worry.
But yeah. So it jumps to them. 25 years after Johnny Cage defeats Shinnok, and I'm just like, okay. And then you find Sub-Zero. Like, that's the first thing you do is you go and meet Sub-Zero, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, wasn't he just dead? I thought he was a revenant, And like I said, I didn't. My first playthrough, I guess I wasn't paying attention, but they go on in the story later on to discuss how Raiden saved them. They go back through. I guess after they defeated Shinnok, they went and raided Netherrealm, raided Quan Chi's palace or quarters or whatever, and they beat the crap out of him, and he escaped again. But they saved Johnny Cage. He was almost turned into a revenant. They saved him. They saved Jax. They saved Sub-Zero. They saved Scorpion. And I don't know what it is. I mean, I always thought it was kind of because of plot armor that he didn't save Kitana and Kung Lao and Smoke and Liu Kang, that Stryker. I don't know why.
Yeah, of all people, Stryker. I don't know why he should have saved Stryker.
Yeah, I know. But but it's like, I guess it's because they were there in that room. But I'm just thinking like, well, so why didn't you save the other ones? But whatever. But yeah. So anyway.
Well, I was gonna say it's like I actually kind of what I really liked about this game, even when the first time I played it back in the day, is I liked how Mortal Kombat was a series that was been like, yeah, like these games are actually running in chronological order of when like the original game came out. So now, if you played Mortal Kombat in '92, well, guess what? This is 20 years later now, past 20 years past, let's just say Mortal Kombat 4-ish, and all the characters have aged. So I'm like, that's actually kind of a badass concept. So the fact that, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, like Sonya, Jax, they're all like 50 years old now. And I think that's kind of cool. It's like, oh, cool. The characters age in the story. And I thought that was kind of badass. And even the Kombat Kids, I generally overall like all of them and so on like that. And I even like, Sonya and Johnny Cage's daughter.
Cassie Cage.
Cassie Cage.
I actually play Cassie Cage really well.
Yeah, she plays really good and so on like that. I like her look even more by the time she gets to Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
I think they make her look a little bit like she doesn't have the silly kind of like tough girl haircut like she does in 10, no, I think that's just a cool character, and for the fact that Sonya is my all-time favorite Mortal Kombat character, so I feel like I play pretty well with Cassie. And just the fact they keep that going, but there is that weird it's cool that they kind of jump ahead. I feel like they could have almost milked these stories just a little bit more, and you could have put a game in between 9 and 10. Yeah, it literally maybe summed up like a mixed match of like say Mortal Kombat 4 and maybe all the PS2 era games.
It's kind of like those those animated movies that we watch. Like a couple of them where they were doing the like 2 stories at one time.
Yeah, well, like if you had an in-between game between 9 and 10 that literally just weaved together the middle era, I guess you would almost say, of Mortal Kombat, since the first one does trilogy, or first one has a 9, that you could have had something in between that did 4 through, Deception, Deadly Alliance, and Armageddon, and you kind of just, mended those stories maybe all together. Because that's almost how it sort of feels. It feels like you kind of have that, because you even see Bo Rai Cho and like a lot, Fujin's in here too for a moment. Yeah. But for literally a moment, I don't know what the hell happened.
What I noticed on the second playthrough, there's a lot of characters that are on screen but you don't play. Like
Serena's in here.
Li Mei, the girl from Sub-Zero mythologies, Kira, I think, or Kia.
Oh, Kia, yeah.
It's the girl that's Sub-Zero somehow becomes like lovers with in that game, and then she didn't like Quan Chi kills her or Shinnok kills her or whatever, or at least tries to. You know who I'm talking about, right? With the diamond makeup.
Oh no, that's Serena. That's Serena.
Serena. Okay.
Yeah. Because she's in there for a moment too. Speaking of like the Johnny Cage movie we just watched.
Yeah. So Serena, Li Mei, Bo Rai Cho, Fujin, obviously all the Revenants that you don't play as in the game. Super cool. There's so many characters. And then Baraka. And then what was the one that one I didn't quite understand. So and this is really just a nitpick, but has nothing to do with the story, really, I guess, is Kung Lao. So I'm sure you remember, like, you fight against Kung Lao in the story a couple times, handful of times, whatever. And then as a playable character, like for you to fight, verses or do towers with or something, he's a normal Kung Lao. Like, he's not a Revenant, but he's old.
Oh yeah, I do kind of remember that.
I didn't quite understand, because you don't save him. Like, he's still a Revenant, and I'm like, why didn't they make him a Revenant version? Because they did that with Liu Kang and Katana.
I remember, because there is the different costumes. I can't remember if maybe Kung Lao does he? Maybe he doesn't.
I looked, and he doesn't have a Revenant version.
Interesting. because I remember that was like, I remember when I first got the game before I played the story mode, I'm like, wow, there's like a lot of Revenant versions of all these characters. What the hell happened? That was the first thing I kind of thought when you were just flipping through the character roster and so on like that. And then of course, they give all the classic outfits too, because it's like, man, if I'm gonna play as Katana or Liu Kang, I don't want to be a Revenant version. I want to be the Glory Days version. I want to be the 1950-year-old version of all these guys.
Yeah, I think. So yeah, once the
50-year-old version, I mean,
this has got to be the first Mortal Kombat thing I've seen thus far that Raiden's not completely useless.
No, well, yeah, he's actually doing a lot in this one. He's not getting people too screwed over in it yet.
He's not like walking away to go consult with elder gods, and then he comes back and everybody's dead. He's not just making stupid decisions.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go consult the elder gods. He pulls out like a Pikachu coin from like the trading card game and flips it.
They took away all of his amulets, just broke them all and threw them away. They're like, no more of this amulet shit. Like,
No, he's actually reviving a lot of people in this game and so on like that, bringing them back to life and whatnot. I mean, he fixed Jax up in the prequel part right there,
Yeah.
and then that Sonya's so pissed that she goes and just like sweeps the floor with fucking Quan Chi, just beats his face into the wall.
that was awesome. Then smashes his balls.
Yeah.
I love his. He's like begging and pleading, like, no, 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 and then
She just spreads the legs, just gives him a big old big boot.
yeah, and then so that's how they got revived. And then I actually thought it was awesome the first time I played this game, and even again seeing Scorpion like basically given a second chance in life. You know, he's back to being Hanzo Hasashi. It's still cool though that somehow he retains his Scorpion powers. But then, yeah, I really love seeing that. And then they also, the further as you play, you find out how Scorpion and Sub-Zero kind of patch things up between each other. You find this character Frost, one of the Lin Kuei, who I think is such an annoying character, to be honest. I was really glad that she didn't have more parts in the game.
Yeah.
That also sets it up for Mortal Kombat 11. Well, we'll get in that, next time. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool to see the Lin Kuei being run by Sub-Zero. Although initially I kind of wished that he had a bigger part in the game for you to play as, but at the same time, I think what they were trying to do, it would make sense, is to give those newer characters more screen time, to give them like, hey, like this is, for one, the way I kind of look at it is, even though they had Mortal Kombat 9, NetherRealm Studios is like, we gave you back, we polished up the story a bit, we gave you back the story, but now we're doing our own NetherRealm kind of thing, So here's Mortal Kombat 4, but with our own touch on it. Here's some new characters for a younger audience or people new to Mortal Kombat or maybe going to enjoy. So it kind of makes sense that Sub-Zero has less of an arc, that Scorpion has less of an arc, and these other characters too, in place of, Cassie Cage, Kung Jin, I was gonna say Kung Lao, Takeda, and Jackie Briggs, because, yeah, I mean, there's always the formula of just redoing everything over and over with not only video games but everything else. But I think that's also how you don't get the newer players to get into your stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, it's that, and it's like I always give Mortal Kombat credit for the fact that they're able to keep adding characters in and changing up the formula and so on like that, and it seems to generally always work. Like I feel like even you play Mortal Kombat 3 back in the day, it's only got like 5 characters from the original 2 games, if that even. Like, there's a lot of new characters in that. Maybe not even that much. Like there's a lot of like kind of replacement ones, and it works. And even throughout the Deception, Deadly Alliance, all that kind of era, they added a bunch of new characters, and they're all kind of cool in a sense in certain ways.
Well, and you're always going to have the people too that are going to just complain about anything and everything, but like same thing, like only having those few characters from the original games, the first 2, of course, people complain about that. So then that's why you had Mortal Kombat 3 going to Mortal Kombat, Ultimate or
Trilogy?
It was Trilogy, and then there was the third version of 3.
Yeah, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Well, because that's the one that adds Scorpion.
They put everybody back in it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, other than there's just like a couple characters, and then Trilogy has all of them.
It's kind of funny, It's like that. I wonder how many more people were like bought it because of that. You know what I mean? Like, same game more or less, just with the characters that people complain weren't there. But
well, that's what I do sort of laugh about, because like it's easy to kind of go nowadays, be like, oh man, like fighting games, they just kind of come out and then they just sell you a bunch of season sets and all kinds of stuff like that. And I used to go like, well, let's be honest, back in the day, you had to go out and buy the full game over and over again. Because think about it, like Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Special Champion Edition. Like they did that all the time, and then throughout Alpha 1, 2, 3, but you had to get the full game. At least in an odd way, it actually is cheaper nowadays if you look at it like by that standard.
That said, I do miss unlockable characters, which you really don't see anymore.
Yeah, that's always a kind of a bummer. Is that like that used to be a cool thing?
That was the first time I really found that in a game. Was Tekken 3. I played the crap out of Tekken 3. That was like my favorite fighting game for a long time. That was back when Tekken wasn't extremely hard. I don't know. Tekken 7, man, I bought it on sale and I'm like, dude, this sucks. I can't get past. Like, I played like 4 matches and then finally the one that I just got stuck on. Maybe I'll try it up again.
Because I would say I actually kind of like that Tekken set. That was kind of like my comeback to Tekken. Like I didn't play realistically 4, 5, and 6 too much.
So hard. The I can't beat fucking Panda as Jack. Or not Jack, Paul. I can't. I'm Paul. And I'm trying to fight Panda, and he keeps whooping my ass. But anyway, Tekken 3 was my first like super favorite fighting game, and I remember like just playing through the arcade mode is what they called it, basically the towers. And after I'd finished, all of a sudden I got a new character. I kept doing it over and over because I'm like, how many new characters are there? And you don't see that anymore.
No, which is kind of a bummer because that's when you got a fighting game back in the day. All the unlockables is what it kind of gave you something to do when you're playing the game single player.
Exactly.
That was the thing is that, and then once they started doing the DLC thing, it's almost kind of like, well, you made it great if you just wanted to buy the game and just jump in the multiplayer and just have all the characters right away. I get that, but if you're a single player and you want to get some use out of your game, forget about it. Like, at least I'll say Mortal Kombat gives a story mode because that wasn't really too much of a thing prior to this. You had arcade mode and then every character had maybe their beginning and ending little cutscene or, still frame. But
when I initially bought Mortal Kombat 10, I was so excited because I hadn't played 9 in years, and I was getting back into it. Not only that, but it'd been a long time since I really played games anyway. For whatever reason, I just stopped playing video games for like 4 or 5 years. And I went out, I got a PS4 for like Christmas that year, and it was 2014. And one of the first games I went and bought was Mortal Kombat 10. And it was like, I paid like $39 at GameStop for it. It was used. And I'm looking at all the DLC. I'm like, okay, I'll buy this. I'll buy that. And I buy all of it. And even at the end of the day, I paid like $110 for everything. And, I got all the characters, all the DLCs, Goro, what's his name? Leatherface, Alien, so on and so forth. And then like, I shit you not, it was like 2 weeks later that I see advertised Mortal Kombat XL, like with everything I just paid for like $49. And I'm like, damn it. And from that point, I was like, next time Mortal Kombat comes out, which was 11, I'm waiting till they just release it all at once. And I didn't, only because I had money to spend at GameStop and only at GameStop, because I'd bought Kingdom Hearts 3 thinking like, wow, I'm going to love this. And I hated it. It's a terrible fucking game. And, I liked the Kingdom Hearts when I was a kid, and then replaying it, I'm like, this is so dumb. The gameplay was kind of fun. The gameplay's still fun in the first and second one, but the story is so cringy and just lame. The dialogue, especially, it's just so stupid. But the gameplay was just boring in 3. But anyway, so I'm like, well, and I beat the game in like 3 days. So I brought it back to GameStop. I traded it in, and Mortal Kombat 11 had just come out. So I traded on that base copy of 11. Way better game. Totally different game, but I enjoyed it a lot more. But anyway, so 10, where were we at there? They had just revived everyone, and then the Kombat Kids, they went on their test mission to the Lin Kuei, the headquarters of Lin Kuei, and Sub-Zero basically tells them they all suck and they need to learn how to work together. And then they get a real mission, which is to go to Outworld and go persuade, what's his name? Kotal Khan, the new Khan, to work together and finding, I think, Quan Chi or finding the amulet because it's been stolen by, what's her name?
Melina.
Melina.
Well, because they had this big thing going on over there in Outworld, and this actually is where there's that comic book series that comes before Mortal Kombat 10. It's called 10, but like it fills in a little bit more of these gaps, I noticed, and I read through that a handful of weeks ago, so it's a little bit not as fresh in my mind, but because I always wanted to read it, and then it's like I finally picked it up and so on. But it's like after Shao Kahn pretty much gets killed and disappears and all that stuff, because it's a Mortal Kombat game, he'll probably be revived at some point. Melina takes power over everything, and she becomes Khan for a moment, and then in that process, she doesn't do a good enough job of holding down the fort and so on like that. So there's kind of a power struggle between her and then Kotal Khan being the new guy in town, who's probably been there forever, but we just never seen him till now.
Yeah.
And he's got a cool kind of like Aztec look and design to him and everything like that, Aztec / Mayan kind of, era, which really I feel
I like how they NetherRealm. It's like with so much cool stuff that they're doing. It's like they had nothing better they couldn't think of anything better than calling him an Aztec, because Outworld, is like has nothing to do with Earth, which is funny because I feel like Outworld is like if you're not Asian, you're like just some kind of what do you call them? Holy crap! Some kind of native, some kind of
like
tribal person. Yeah, like if you're because everyone in Outworld either is like looks Asian or just like a native. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's like what? There's no like particular race, no like different. But
I feel like
cool concept, awesome character.
Yeah, I always kind of picture it like normally when we see Outworld, it is that kind of like there because it reminds me of like a world where just like high end warriors have kind of like dominated this place forever. It never went to a soft society or anything like that. It was just like no, whoever was the best warrior is the one who's in charge. So you take all those ancient time warriors, but I feel like by that standard you could have because you'd have all the Asian ones like Shao Kahn and all that his stuff, and he always feels he has like that mixed match almost where it feels like Ra's al Ghul from like Batman, how like you can never really pin that he's somewhere like Eastern Europe / Asian. It's like that's almost
Shao Kahn is like a dragon.
Yeah,
I looked it up a while back because I was wondering like what is he supposed to be, because his designs change. I don't want to say radically, but enough to where you're like in the movie he's ridiculous, he's just a dude. The Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation, he's just a funny looking dude. But the game 9, 10, well he's not in 10, 9 and 11 and then 1, he's thorny. He's thorny. He's got those kind of demon like dragon cat looking eyes. He looks like he's definitely more than just a big giant dude. And sure enough, he's like a dragon race. Like he's like some kind of breed that's like Shokan and dragon. And I guess he's got like lineage to Onaga, the dragon king or whatever. And I guess the Shokan also do too, which is funny. The Shokan are like so many different things: tiger, dragon, fucking
yeah, all in the same race. Yeah, well, that's how I just feel. I feel like all like the kind of like all the classic kind of minotaur, centaurs, all that kind of stuff is all sort of like these things that exist sort of like in Outworld and stuff that maybe at one point existed on Earth, but it's been so long. But like over here, anything that's powerful. And then I just feel like where Kotal Khan is, it's like that must be the other side of the map. Is where he's from. He's on he's on like the South American side of the like Outworld.
Yeah. No, I love his character, and the introduction of him I thought was super cool. I don't really enjoy playing as Kotal Khan that much. He's kind of he's not hard to play. He's just different. Like I kind of like the quicker, more agile characters over the characters with like that are super strong. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I had a little bit of a tough time playing as him too, because it takes a moment. Because I always like to do that thing when I play. Like, I don't want to look up the moves. I like to try to figure it out. And the way that Mortal Kombat 10 is actually kind of designed kind of nice. Because, like, the first match it gives you is kind of easy when you start as a new character. It lets you kind of figure out the controls and everything like that. And then it gets progressively harder. And by the time you get to the fourth match, because everybody seems to have about 4 matches, then it gets quite tough. And then it resets again. Once you beat that character, it's kind of like it goes back to easy again. So it lets you kind of literally learn the characters each time, because that's always how Mortal Kombat is. I always feel
and let's talk about the most important change here between 9 and 10. The game's not so fucking hard.
It sounds weird though. I felt like I had just as much difficulty with this as I did 9.
Really?
In a way. I never checked to see actually what difficulty I was on. Probably just normal or something like that. But I felt like it was just about as challenging. It had that linear thing. So the first couple matches are fine, but those last matches on every character, there were some of them that was like, I probably tried them as much as many of the other battles. Maybe not as much as some of those Raiden ones. There's those Raiden ones at the end of 9 when you have to fight like the 3 dudes in a row and then go fight Shao Kahn.
Funny enough, fighting the Revenants at the end of as Raiden, I didn't need to continue. So I needed to continue more than once, fighting Shao Kahn as Raiden, fighting Shao Kahn as Liu Kang, and then a couple of the 2-on-1s. I think it was Quan Chi and Shang Tsung as Liu Kang. I think I had to continue on that, but those 2-on-1s were just insane.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, that was the part that was kind of tough. There was always the 2-on-1s. It's like, especially if it was a character you weren't really the greatest with. Yeah. You're like, okay. But what I do always kind of like those, by the time you finally win, you feel pretty like confident in like your abilities with that character by this point. It's like it punishes you into like, no, you're gonna get good, or at least you're gonna get decent enough.
But yeah, no. To me, this game was not nearly as rough. I would say just as fun. Slightly different in gameplay. I really liked playing as Scorpion in this game. I liked playing as Sub-Zero quite a bit too, but Scorpion's got to be in this game my definite favorite to play as. But that's also just because I love Scorpion. He's got to be my favorite character in the franchise.
Oh, he's great.
And then the other one that I don't remember seeing in 9. I'm positive it's not in there. Is the QuickTime events.
Yeah.
Or quick reaction. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's quick time.
I always call them quick time events because that's what they call them in Shenmue. And Shenmue it's not the original game to have that stuff in there, but it kind of made it kind of a big deal. And I think from that point on, they kind of were there. I mean, they really go back all the way to like, I think a lot of Sega CD games.
First time I saw that was in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. So that's even later.
First time I played that.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 4 also popularized it kind of well too. And I know I actually think they're kind of fun. I like the quick time events.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about them in this game because I literally set my controller down at like the first cutscene, and I was like, oh, and I actually I didn't think I was gonna get the button right after that, and I hit circle or whatever it was, and I was like, oh, geez, okay, well, I'll hold on to this then. But
I missed a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, the kind of cool thing I noticed in this game is if you miss them, it's not like you just instantly fail. It's like, oh, your character gets punched in the face, but the cutscene still goes on.
It's still okay, yeah.
So I think you have to miss like a few of them. I never failed a single one of them. But yeah. I think it's kind of cool that it gives a little bit of breathing room in there too, and it changes up the cutscenes if you kind of miss a press or so, which is kind of neat. But I always thought those things were cool in video games, and I know people bitched about them for like years.
I don't think they're that bad. I prefer these quick time events in MK10 over the freaking a couple of those like test your mights or whatever in the story of MK1. Like some of them are okay, but some of them like, dude, this isn't even fun. Like I just couldn't even do it. Like it just was like just a.
Get your turbo controller out, yeah.
Well, I didn't realize I could just turn it off, which I did. So I'm like, I'm not doing this stupid crap. I just want to play the game. Come on. But,
yeah, there's that. But yeah, it's like I just remember that was one of those, because I remember by the time Resident Evil 6 came out, it felt like everybody was just bitching about the quick time events in video games and just a handful of things. I'm like, what, you're not good enough to press a button in time? Like that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, But no, I was like, I think it's kind of cool that they're in this one, and this is the only Mortal Kombat I think that has them.
Yeah, they're not in 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then let's see. Going back to... Oh, yeah, cool. So they got a kind of a civil war going on in Outworld. Mm-hmm. The forces of Molina versus Kotal Khan and his compadres. Molina's backed by Tarkatans.
Yep.
And Rain, who apparently he just is trying to usurp her eventually. I guess that's what a Kotal Khan implies. And then you beat him up and you don't see him for quite a while. Rain was one that I was kind of bummed wasn't a playable character in this game. But it was nice to see him in the next one. And then let's see. So Melina, Rain, Ermac? No, not Ermac.
No.
Baraka.
Yeah, that's
Baraka, Melina, Rain, and then kind of Kano, but not really. He was just hired to assassinate Kotal Kahn, in which he failed. And then that was the first QuickTime event that I messed up a little bit, but nothing really happened. But then so Kotal Kahn beats up every one of those people, almost kills Rain, but he splashes his way out of town, and then he kills Baraka. It's actually what's her name, Devora, that kills Baraka. And then the Kombat Kids show up not long after that. After they do their test against Sub-Zero, they go into Outworld, and they're all like shocked because people live in poverty and shit. I guess I've never left.
There's just the entitled kids just be like, wow,
exactly.
live like this, like
Kung Jin just can't handle the fact that some guy's about to be executed for stealing an apple or whatever.
He's like, this is ridiculous,
It's like, dude, have you not been to like the Middle East or something? Like this is like normal life in some places of the earth. In fact, he's not in the U.S. I'm surprised that he's surprised by this shit.
Yeah, it's not like he's like, we need to get Barack Obama on this.
Yeah, but then the Outworld folks. So Aaron Black, Ferritor. I never really cared for Ferritor. I'm gonna try to play with Ferritor to see how I like playing, but I thought it was kind of a silly character. Interesting, but they don't really go into depth on like. They're just like, oh, it's a symbiote, but is it though? Because it's just a little tiny child and a big giant.
Yeah, well, I feel like that character is supposed to be, because every Mortal Kombat always sort of has, I guess you would say, that somewhat monster. I know there's multiple monster characters, but like in a sense, in the place of Goro, in a sense, is kind of what that character is. Differently, large character and so on. And then I kind of feel like, it sounds weird, but like the little kid on top or whatever you want to say, it really reminds me of like, did you ever play that Borderlands game before?
No.
Well, they have this girl called Tiny Tina in it that everybody seems to love. I thought that character was just really obnoxious, and that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's just you just see this really obnoxious little person like on top. Or kid,
it's kind of irritating to me. I'm like, this is.
But that's kind of how that character. It reminds me it's supposed to just be one of those weird characters where you're like, well, that's messed up,
But so they go in Outworld to seek assistance from Kotal Kahn and blah blah blah, and because they interfered with that. Punishment, let the guy go free, fight Aaron Black and this and that, who's not really from Outworld, but he's somehow like had magic done to where he's kept alive for years and years and years, and now he just is an Outworldian or whatever.
He's like Kano, where he just feels like he thrived better in Outworld. Yeah,
which fair enough. I mean, if you are that person, like you're probably gonna live pretty well in Outworld. You just people don't like you, so what? You just beat them up, take their stuff.
Because I think he's kind of a cool like alternative character because he's got kind of like a Western Outworld kind of design.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say what now that I think about it, Outworld is kind of like a Wild West, so it's pretty fitting. But then so Kotal Kahn initially he's like, fuck this guy, like these people are liars and we're gonna go ahead and just kill him. And then Kung Jin is like, no way. He apparently knows a bit about Outworld and didn't say anything before. It's like, but per Outworld rule, you need to fight me because I challenge you, and should I win, then you need to be friends with us. And that's what happens, and Kotal Kahn just tells him to kill him, which surprises me. I would have thought he had something else up his sleeve, but Kung Jin obviously doesn't kill him. And then they go looking for this amulet, and
well, it makes Kotal Kahn seem kind of like he was just like shamed in front of all his people right there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that nobody's going to think like much of Kotal Kahn if the fact that this, boy from, Earth Realm just shows up and whoops his ass all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. There's something that I didn't think about till now, but there's those flashback scenes where they show Melina coming in because she heard about Kotal Kahn starting to maybe usurp her, and she rolls in there with Reptile and Ermac, Baraka, and then immediately Reptile and Baraka, they just like betray her, and then they kill Baraka, so on and so forth, and now it's like, okay, civil war, but you would have thought by what happens in Mortal Kombat 11, that Jade might have been in there with him, somewhere with Kotal Khan, or maybe just. I mean, well, no, I guess not, because I think Jade is a Revenant. At that point, yeah.
Oh, maybe
I believe she is a Revenant.
That could be the case.
Positive, because in 11, like, they show that there was this romance between Kotal Khan and Jade, and you don't know nothing about that in 10. But I guess it just wasn't really important to the story.
Yeah, well, because I don't even think that even appeared in that comic book either, and so on like that. Because the comic book goes into more like the whole core story is that civil war between Melina and Kotal Khan for who gets the power, and then there's in between there's a Havoc's the one literally causing havoc just to mess things up.
Yeah,
you know, with what's his dude? What's the guy's name from Mortal Kombat 4?
Draman or
no, it's the dude who looks like he could be Shao Kahn's son, but he's not.
Reiko?
Yeah, Reiko. Yeah. He's kind of the one going along with Havoc and so on like that.
Yeah, I think he's in. Yeah, I think you're right. But so they decided, okay, let's be friends again. Let's be partners. They go after that amulet, which is of course in Melina's possession. They find Melina. They beat up Rain. I think there was another female character that they might have fought.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because the Devora, speaking of that, she's really like put on the center stage here as like this is a big deal character. You know, she's brand new for this game and whatnot, but they give her a lot of screen time.
They do. She's so gross. I such a weird, gross character, which is funny. You played a little bit of Skyrim, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I played the whole thing.
Okay. This is kind of weird, but it was one of the first things I think about. So when I see like humanoid characters, I kind of like that aren't human, and they're not like if Devora had a baby, it's probably going to come out of an egg, right? Like it's not going to be
larva,
like birthed from her whatever, if she even had a vagina. But the same thing in Skyrim with the and I can't remember the name of the race. But it's the lizard-looking people.
Oh, and yeah.
Devora, like those characters, have breasts. Why? You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen breasts on a lizard before?
Not only that, but on a freaking bug person. Like, it's not, nobody's going to be. Anyway, so that's one of the first things I thought about when I'm thinking about with Devora, just because of her shape. Now, again, it's a fighting game. It's a fantasy action, horror-ish kind of a little bit. Where I mean, super cool character design. She really is. The color schemes that they give her, depending on what like costume and whatever that you have on her, you get a lot more of that in 11. That's one of the things I love about 11 is the customization. But everything about her, super cool, super weird. She's a really easy character to dislike, because she's super conniving, super gross. Every one of her attacks, that whether or not you're actually playing or it's a cutscene, they're all disgusting. And
sending insects out, they're always eating people alive, poisoning things, you know, all kinds of stuff coming out of her body.
Exactly. So when they find Melina, they beat up her cronies and they capture her and bring her to Kotal Khan. And Kotal Khan's like, all right, well, we got the amulet, so go ahead, Devora, do what you do best. And Devora freaking executes Melina in the nastiest way. She makes out with her, is what it looks like, but she's just like injecting her with like vomiting bugs in her mouth, and they just destroy her face and kill her. And so gross. And so they get Shinnok's amulet. They're all excited, and the Kombat Kids are like, thank you, Kotal. Like, so we're going to go ahead and take this back to Earthrealm where we let it get stolen. Like, at this point, I can't blame for Kotal Khan for being like, fuck you are. Like,
yeah. I literally just fought a civil war because of you guys couldn't hold on to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Raiden involved? It sounds like something Raiden would have done.
Yeah. And because that is regarding the amulet, that's where one of the, I think it was Lee May, There was earlier in the game, there's a bunch of refugees from Outworld because there's places where Melina is running amok and using Shinnok's amulet, and you see it actually earlier when she's fighting Kotal. She whips out this amulet and starts blowing everything to shit with it, and you go, oh wait, the Shinnok's amulet, you know. And what happens is Kano, that sneaky guy, he went and stole the amulet and replaced it with something that I like how Raiden later on, he's like, oh yeah, it was like this really good copy. I never would have known, you know. It's like, how is that something you replicate?
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's what Kano does. You know what I mean?
He did it again.
Yeah. Oh, that Kano, he's sure cunning.
And I like how once again Kano's not dead. Like,
no, he seems to survive everything. You know,
he does. You know,
it surprises Sonya. She's just, Kano's still alive. Jesus, out of everybody who could survive, how does he survive? He's not even a revenant.
Yeah. So then Kotal Khan's like, no, you guys aren't taking this back. You guys suck at keeping things safe, so it'll be with us. And Kotal Khan's got a good plan. He's like, yeah, we're just going to bring it over this way. And what he doesn't know is D'Vorah is a double agent working for Quan Chi, who's working for Shinnok. And so she steals the thing, and the Kombat Kids, in their best effort, they free themselves from Kotal Khan's prison or whatever the hell.
Yeah, we'll get. Yeah, because whatever. What's that? I'm blanking one of the Kombat Kids names.
Kung Jin.
Yes, because he uses that. He's got his little mind control powers, you know, from Kenshi and whatnot.
Oh, it's Takeda.
Yeah, Takeda. That's right. Takeda uses. He's like, here, watch this. He's like, the guy comes by to bring him his like.
Excuse me.
His pudding or whatever, and he just mind controls him, grabs the keys, breaks free, and all that kind of stuff, and then they're out of there. And one thing I will say though about like the D'Vorah thing is D'Vorah, it's like at first, you know, she just feels like she's like, you know, she's gonna turn bad just because how it is. I almost think it would have been a more ballsier choice to make it be like, oh yeah, by the way, she just stays as Kotal Khan's like second in command, and actually is not a bad person. She just has all these weird qualities that you would think would be. And then you would have been. I think it would have worked a little bit stronger if you did it to somebody else. I feel like you just kind of know it's like, oh, she's a bug lady. Of course, she's gonna be like the evil one. Why would you?
More going on there? Yeah.
You know, I always think it's kind of better when you let. It's kind of like even like Baraka. It's like if you almost made Baraka not so evil, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, he might look evil, but like, you know, deep down inside, he's a real.
That's kind of like what they did in Mortal Kombat 11 and 1. They made him like more nice.
Yeah, it's the same thing they did of Reptile as well too. I know, especially in Mortal Kombat 1.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was some like I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was some kind of snowflake thing. Like somebody's like, you know, we need to really make it known that just because you're ugly doesn't mean you're a vile, bloodthirsty creature. You know, like. So what if you got Down syndrome? Like that doesn't mean you're a terrible person, you know. But
you know, Baraka's got Down syndrome.
But yeah. But no, that's
Wait, you didn't notice it because he looks different? Is that what you're saying? You judged a man because he had knives in his hands? You know,
knives in his hands and giant freaking teeth, and he's got a permanent smile.
Exactly.
Looks like the villain. It looks like Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black when he stretches his head back.
Oh yeah, totally. But yeah, that is kind of it. So no, there probably is something there. But yeah, I just felt like that the D'Vorah one. It's like because I couldn't remember exactly when playing this game over. I'm like, I remember she does do something. It's like, oh no, she is kind of like in a sense the main villain beyond Shinnok.
Yeah, and the so they do back in Earthrealm, the special forces capture Kano, and then they in turn he helps them capture Quan Chi, and when they do, they're trying to make sure he doesn't get messed up or anything because they still need him for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think they need him for more questioning or something like that.
Oh, I think they like more questioning, maybe about the amulet, but also I think they wanted to save the souls of the other revenants.
That's right, because Raiden needed Quan Chi to use his magic so that they could bring him back and so on like that. And of course, Scorpion just bust in there like, nonchalantly with like his whole like, Shiryu army and be like, yo, just hand him over. I know you guys did all the work to get him, and I know I just showed up at the last second.
Yeah, I know.
I waited for you guys to do all the work, and then I just pop in here and be like, no, I'm taking him. I'm going to kill him. Why? Well, I'm pissed off because, because of this guy here, my family's dead. I killed Sub-Zero's brother. You know what I mean? I feel terrible about now. So you got to give him over here. Sonya, I know you have all this like major mission stuff going on, and
that's super.
You want to save your friends, but fuck your friends.
That's almost disappointing to me when I really think about it in depth, because you would think like Hanzo Hasashi, Spectre or human. More so now as a human, you would think he'd be more intelligent than that, like more like reasonable.
Yeah, that sounds more like when he's Scorpion mode, version.
It's like all this time and he hasn't tried to find Quan Chi, and like what? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, now that they got him, he's just like, I'll kill him. But it's like at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, if Hanzo Hasashi came up to me and I was Sonya Blade, I'd just be like, go ahead and take him. I'm not going to try to fight you. Like, I know I'm a badass. I got my little purple wrist shooter, and I can kick things and break necks with my legs, but I'm not going to fight you.
Well, I mean, Sonya, though, by this point, though, she is literally the major of this entire Special Forces unit. Like, everybody answers to her. Oh
yeah, no, I'm just saying I just would not challenge this former Spectre of Hell, or NetherRealm, who also is just a badass ninja. Be like, no, I guess I suck. You just go ahead and do whatever you're gonna do. But yeah, so the
I just have to say this real quick. I'm kind of surprised that in any of like the core story stuff, that I don't think they've ever made Sonya be the champion of any of these Mortal Kombats.
No, they really haven't, which is interesting because. Yeah, I mean, she's super. She's held in such high regard in general, and but she's no pushover. So yeah, I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we had Liu Kang, we've had Johnny Cage, we've had Scorpion, I think win one, and so on like that. But like, yeah, as I said, for all like the classic characters and so on like that, hell, even Raiden's one of them for some reason. I can't participate, but I can win. So don't worry, don't question it. But yeah, it's just like, here. But also, another thing we kind of forget to mention is, Johnny and, Sonya, of course, in the Mortal Kombat 4 section of the story, whatever you want to kind of call it for as these are going, that's when they have sort of this love affair. But 20 years later now, things have not been the same. They're like a divorced couple that are still partially married somehow, some way, and but the way that it works is that Johnny Cage is almost treated like the woman in this relationship, where he takes care of Cassie and all kinds of stuff, and tries to work his way in, and then like Sonya's just out of the picture like a workaholic father.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
She's more concerned about, government things, and saving the world, Johnny. You know what? Somebody's going to wear the pants around here.
Yeah, exactly. She just repeatedly beats him with her balls, her huge balls that she's got there.
Yeah, so here it is. Except for, here's the thing. Scorpion shows up, just whoops Sonya out of the way. It's like, out of the way, I'm coming here for Quan Chi.
And then and this scene, too, playing through this, kind of made me pissed off at Mortal Kombat 11 for a decision that was made in that game. Scorpion fights Devora briefly and just like takes care of her like with ease. And of course it's Hanzo Hasashi Scorpion. Just she throws her little arm, freaking pointy arm, tentacle-ish kind of arm, whatever. Like I think it was like a spider leg, and pierces him, and he's just like whatever, and cuts one of her arms and just beats her up. In 11, she does the same thing, and it's what kills him.
Maybe that poison just took a long time to kick in.
I was just like, what? Because I forgot about that part in 10. And in 11, that's where they made that pinnacle point where what the fuck that? And where I thought I saw something shiny. I was like, what the fuck is that? But the
Slap yourself.
But yeah, it's that pinnacle point where it's Hanzo and then the alternate timeline or past or whatever it was, Scorpion that are there, and D'Vorah kills Hanzo, and then Scorpion has to kill D'Vorah or at least severely wound her, and then goes back to Earthrealm. He's like, oh, Hanzo's dead, and Raiden loses his mind and starts beating the shit out of Scorpion. Anyway, that's Mortal Kombat 11. But no, yeah, so Scorpion, yeah, he defeats everyone there. He goes and grabs Quan Chi. They're all like, no, Scorpion, don't do it. We need him to revive our friends. And he's like, fuck your friends.
Yeah, literally. He's pretty much at that point where he's like, I don't care about your friends.
Cuts his head off right there. And then, of course, what happens? While he's doing that, Quan Chi somehow managed to incite this spell. And they all... Shinnok gets released and just annihilates everyone. And then he takes Johnny Cage hostage. They go back to the Sky Temple and go to the what is it, the Wu Ji or the special like... the special goo or whatever it was that is Earth's like energy.
Because it literally has a name that's kind of, it sounds weird, but it sounds like another one of Kung Jin's like cousins or something like that. What the heck did they call it there? Though
the oh man, I just had it.
What the heck was that there? But yeah, I know what you're talking about though, because it has a kind of an interesting, name. But yeah, he takes him there and
Jinsei.
Yeah, Jinsei. Yeah. And of course, Shinnok, is able to break through and Raiden goes to stop because there's all the revenants there. And there's a scene that makes me laugh because, Shinnok's like, don't worry, Kung Lao and Kitana and all you revenants, take care of Raiden for me or something. I got to go power up and stuff. And there's a scene where it looks silly. There's Raiden standing there in the center and there's all like 6 or whatever the revenants stand around him. And they're literally pushing him like they're 6-year-olds like in a playground, like back and forth, like, yeah, what are you going to do, Raiden? Pushing him back and forth. Like he's going back like and then he goes and then like shoots a bunch of lightning and blows and starts fighting them all and whatnot. But I just was so funny just sitting there, dude. They're just pushing him like
yeah and then so him and Bo Raicho kind of try to help out, but Raiden immediately just gets like owned by Shinnok. And then Johnny Cage is there being like screwed over by all the insects from D'Vorah. It's pretty gnarly. And then that's when the Kombat Kids, they start heading that way. But then the Shinnok, when he corrupts the Jinsei, the world is, starting to get thrown into chaos or whatever because he's, the mad god. Mm-hmm. And they land in some forest that apparently is near maybe the Lin Kuei. And they're fighting off Outworld because Outworld has invaded. Kotal Khan has taken it upon himself to invade and fight these people because, he thinks that they stole the amulet. He has no idea that Shinnok's been released. And once they fight him and tell him, like, hey, look, man, like, D'Vorah stole the amulet. She released Shinnok. Like, let's work together. He's like, yeah, Earthworld's gone. We're just gonna kill you and take you to Shinnok and try to make a deal.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm at the point like, yeah. Seems like you guys lost. You know what? This is just a good time for me to get in his good graces for a moment. I'll try to turn the tide later. Let's not think this through.
Good thoughts. I don't know if I would have done anything different at this point. These guys are idiots. He's like, you guys, what do you even do? Like that's worth a shit. You just fuck everything up. Like, of course, Raiden is your god. That's like the MacGruber. Like I don't know. Raiden's like if MacGruber was a god.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But they lose, of course. Outworld, they fight, but they kick the shit out of all the Outworld people until they, once again, all the fighting they did and battles they won, they still get surrounded anyway by the same people that they beat up already. Mm-hmm. But then who saves him. Who comes to save the day is Sub-Zero, and he gives him that little like applause there. You guys worked together, and it was really good of you to do that. So congratulations. I will hold these guys off. You go save Earthrealm. Gives him that pep talk, and then they scoot out of there, go up to the Sky Temple, and I would have liked to have seen Sub-Zero fight Kotal Khan right there, maybe.
But even just a little cutscene or something like that. They don't do any of that there. It just kind of keeps going and so on, and those Kombat Kids now going off. It's like it's up to them now to go up there and stop Shinnok and save the day and whatnot. Kotal Khan's not gonna be able to take over Earthrealm. But no, now so they handled that issue. They go up to Sky Temple. Takeda and Jackie Briggs, I think, start fighting the Revenants. Kung Jin and Cassie Cage go into the place where the Jinsei is, and I think Kung Jin, I don't even remember what happened to him. I think he gets knocked out or something by somebody. And Cassie Cage fights what's her face, Devora, and beats the crap out of her. I like her line there. You're the bug, I'm the windshield. One thing about this game, especially more so than 9, this game felt like it would have been a really cool action movie in the 80s. Just a lot of the dialogue, cheesy but still acceptable and fun. People are tough, but they still throw in their one-liners and everything. But anyway, after that, then she starts freeing her dad, and then she fights Shinnok, the corrupted Shinnok, the demon-looking Shinnok, which was a fight that I expected a different outcome from, only because I didn't remember fighting Shinnok in the story mode. I just remembered fighting him in Towers, which has a completely different ending, if you remember. Yeah, because the Towers, well, they have different endings depending on which character you are, too.
No, I'm not talking about just the character endings. I mean, like, literally what happens to Shinnok when you fight him in the story mode versus when you fight him in Towers.
Because I can't remember what happens to the Tower one.
So in Towers, when you defeat Shinnok, he doesn't get imprisoned, like taken away, I guess, by Raiden. He blows up. So in Towers, when you fight him, you after you deplete his health bar and everything, you reach in, grab his amulet from his guts, and he just like and then fucking explodes into a million pieces. And I was awesome. Like, I thought for a minute, I'm like, am I gonna have to fight him again? But no, so in Tower mode, you fight him as normal Shinnok. Once you beat him, he turns into that demon Shinnok, and then that's what happens. He blows up when you win. So
interesting.
It's kind of different. But in the arcade for 11, I think the way that you fight Chronica is the same thing, whether it's arcade or story. But so I forgot about that. But then, so Cassie Cage, she obviously being the son of Johnny Cage, who is a descendant himself of the Elder Gods somehow. I'd love some more background on that, because they got the green power. We've always talked about that of Johnny Cage. He summons this green power, but we still have no real idea where the hell that comes from. No, other than now knowing. And I didn't remember this.
Half the battle.
Yeah, I didn't remember this from 10. So this playthrough also gave me that background, but I didn't remember him actually saying in this game, Raiden told me that I actually was a descendant of the gods and stuff. So that's pretty cool, and it's like,
what do you know?
You'd have thought he told him that in Mortal Kombat 9.
Raiden,
and maybe he told some of the other people so they get off his back. Why'd
you bring this guy along? You know what I mean? I just like watching. I just like dicking with people.
It'd totally be a Raiden thing. I forgot. I wasn't really thinking about it.
I got a lot on my mind. And I was trying to think of what I was going to have for dinner tonight.
And the ending of Mortal Kombat 10, probably one of my favorite endings of a game in general, and it's it set the perfect stage for the next game, which just went in a completely different direction. But it set such an awesome stage for what could have been, I think, an even better game than 11. And I love 11. I think that game's super fun. There's nothing for me to really crap on in any of these games, to be honest. I think if I was really going to crap on one of them, it'd probably be one, but not for a lot of the reasons that a lot of other people do. But anyway, the 10, the ending, you beat Shinnok. The Jinsei, so after Cassie defeats Shinnok, doesn't kill him, she can't. Nobody can. He's an elder god. He's just laying there lifeless on the floor. Cassie and Kung Jin, who just like, I don't know, wakes up or something. He's like, oh, let's, he's like, that was you. Nice. It's like, who else would have fucking been? So they help Raiden. He's still like in those like giant hands that come out from the floor, Shinnok's attack. They release him from that, and he tells them like, oh, throw me in the Jinsei. I got to, like purify it. And so they're, Kung Jin's like, that'll kill you. It's like, well, I should hope not. Once again, the dude is supposed to be a god.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that Raiden, and I don't know how many other gods there are other than Fujin is a god.
Because he's like the other dude. He's in this game for like a brief moment, and then he literally is like, oh, shit's going down. See ya.
Yeah. But yeah, him and Fujin are the only gods I can think of. Rain, I guess, is a god of Edenia. I think he's like a half god or something, but
I mean, Shao Kahn is too.
Is he another half god or something?
Well, because he's allowed to go talk to the elder gods and so on like that. So I always assumed that's kind of what he was.
I don't know, but these people are. It makes me think of they're something kind of like the Norse gods, like because when people think God, they think eternal life, like they don't die. But it's kind of like the Norse gods; they can die. It just takes a lot. So yeah, I get it. I guess Raiden can die, but you would think he'd be a little more fucking powerful than they make him out to be. But anyway, he goes and he purifies that Jinsei, and he's like inside of it. But in the process, I guess it corrupts him a little bit too, which you find more so in the following game. But also kind of in the end of 10. So after he purifies the Jinsei, he takes away. He takes Shinnok, makes him prisoner, I guess, somewhere. Sonya Blade comes in and with the other troops, and they're like, yeah, subdue Shinnok. You like put him in high security holding or whatever she said, and it's kind of funny too. It's like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna like feel better soon. Like,
yeah. Put him in Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Devorah.
Put those dirty terrorists where they belong.
But apparently Raiden had different plans, because they show him in the following cutscene. He's wearing Shinnok's amulet. He looks like he's not dying. He looks really mad, and he sounds really mad. And he's basically going on this whole spiel about too long has Earthrealm been subject to all this crap, and we don't do nothing wrong, and everybody breaks the rules but us, and I'm tired of it. So I'm not going to put up with this crap no longer. And he shows he's got Shinnok's head that's severed. He's like, Shinnok was unkillable. Well, guess what? There's worse things than death. And he like drops it and basically kind of like, let this be a warning to you. Don't fuck with us. And he leaves. And then it shows Revenant, Kitana, and Liu Kang. They walk up to it, and they're just kind of like, And, that's the thing. And that's the ending they left us with. And I'm just thinking like, wow, the next game is going to be pretty fucking brutal, which it was in a lot of ways. Mortal Kombat always is. But at the same time, I just, the story was not what it started out with, that kind of, we're going to pre-great game in MK11 here a little bit, but it starts out with that continuation. It takes off, as opposed to MKX starting like years after MK9. MK11 starts off immediately after MK10, and with basically Shinnok's head on the on this like floor or table or something. Kitana and Liu Kang are just like, like, what are we gonna do here, And then Kronika rolls in there, and you don't really know who she is, but it turns out that Shinnok was her son. I guess she's the I don't know if she's the mother to all the elder gods or just Shinnok and Cetrion or whatever. But yeah, just by chance, you don't hear the storm on my end, do you?
I heard it just for a split second.
Okay, yeah, it's storming pretty hard here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I seem a little bit hardcore.
Yeah,
you know. But you know why? Because Raiden's pissed. That's why.
Yeah, we've been talking all this shit.
Yeah, because Raiden at the end at 10, he literally storms off out of there. Like, they should have just cut to, like, you know, Twisted Sisters. We're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Away. Because it's just like, you know what? I was bullied. I've been pushed around. Everybody tells me I have dumb ideas. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of you people.
Or like Twilight of the Thunder God by Amon Marth or something, you know?
Yeah, there we go. Because yeah, this point where Raiden's like, you know what? Screw you guys. You know, I have good ideas too.
But yeah, it kind of, as I'm playing through 11, you know, and after 10, of course, it carries right over into it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's see what's gonna happen here. You invade Netherrealm, and I'm thinking like maybe he's gonna save them this time somehow, some way. He's gonna. Oh, then what happens? Sonya dies. The whole battle with the Netherrealm like stops. Everything changes. Evil Raiden or corrupted Raiden goes away, and it goes into just a completely different. Like, you go out in the left field with the story, and I was like, man, all this crap that happened with 10, it's all for nothing. And then, well, I mean, once again, spoiler alert: the same thing happens going from 11 to 1.
Yeah, we're gonna change it all again, you know, and so on like that.
But overall, though, I don't know. I really like playing through this. I would say that MK9 is still, I think, my favorite overall, again, of the NetherRealm series. But I really enjoyed this story quite a bit because it is part of that borrowing from Midway, but also implementing new from NetherRealm. As far as the story goes.
Well, and realistically, even though it's Midway and NetherRealm, it's like it makes it feel like it's two different. It's still run by Ed Boon, so I kind of look like it's not like if like a completely different team took it over or something like that. You know, the only thing that's weird, is that John Tobias hasn't been there literally, I think, since Mortal Kombat 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I bet
that guy regrets it.
Yeah, I always think about that too. I'm like, dude, it's like he left it like, because I want to say an Xbox era, like the Xbox original. He left and started his own company, and they made like 3 or 4 games, if that even. And they kind of came and went. And then I always kind of wondered, like, you never hear anything about him anymore, but Ed Boon's literally been there. He's going to go down off the ship in a sense, you know what I mean? He's going to write that out. He'll be like the Shigeru Miyamoto of Mortal Kombat. At the end of the day, you'll still see his name on it, and he'll be like 78 years old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, so it's like, in a sense, I feel like that's the kind of thing that keeps it, like, you know, since Ed Boon's there and he's always been the general story consultant, you know, because I mean that was kind of, you know, if you go back in the day, it was like Ed Boon, he was the guy, like both him and John Tobias kind of came up with the characters and the story, and then John Tobias, he did the artwork because he also did the comic book series too, because he was a comic book artist, and then Ed Boon was the programmer. You know, and at this point now, Ed Boon's more just he's just the guy who puts the whole story together anymore. Yeah. So it's still running from his kind of well, which I think is kind of cool. I wish more games were like that, because that's, I think, what makes Mortal Kombat feel kind of legitimate and not have that weird, like, kind of uncanny where it's like, well, it's close, but something just feels kind of off. And you go, yeah, it's not the main people making it anymore. It's somebody else's interpretation, you know. But the other thing, too, is at the ending of 10, which I think is kind of neat, too, is Sonya finally comes back around and she calls Johnny again. Yeah, and it feels like
fuck you.
We're gonna be one more happy family again. You know what? And you know what? Maybe Mama's gonna take a day off of work one of these days.
Soon, yeah, she'll take a day off forever.
You know what? She's gonna do a friendship fatality right here.
Yeah. That's one thing I loved about 11 was all the friendships.
Yeah, they brought those back and everything like that. Because yeah, and this one, does this one have the friendships or anything?
I don't think
that?
so.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's just straight up fatalities and
just the fatalities. You got the brutality. Oh, you got the brutalities.
Which I still don't even really know how to do.
No, brutalities just feel like they happen. Like that. That's how I always feel. It just feels like, oh.
First time I did it, I was like,
yeah. You know, I was like, well, that's pretty badass, you know, because even in like Mortal Kombat like 3, I remember they just kind of, it feels like they just sort of happen. Maybe there is an exact input, but I don't know. But yeah, you know, it goes through. There's all kinds of cool characters in this one. The story's neat. The story's a little bit shorter, I would say, than or at least gameplay wise, because I just compared how long
I think it's definitely shorter. Mortal Kombat 9 is really long.
took me 6 hours to beat 9, I want to say, and it took me about a little over 4 hours just to beat this one. So, yeah, it's a little bit on the shorter side. And I almost want to say that 11's kind of shorter too, except for the fact that it has 2 parts. Because I almost want to say
it does have the expansion, which makes it a little longer.
Yeah, because that one might in total run 6 hours between the 2 expansions, but maybe a fraction longer, but it's still not too ridiculous. But yeah, this one is pretty darn solid. It's not as dark and as evil feeling. You could kind of see a little bit of a shift of I think because it's in Warner Brothers' hands, if they're playing a little bit more safer and so on like that, because 9 is kind of like that, still in like a ballsy kind of like attitude era.
Was a 9 not under Warner Brothers?
Still is. It still is, but I think that was one of those ones where they're doing the thing where
it's probably under development before Warner Brothers well, I don't know, probably not actually. Yeah, I guess they were in development before that game started because they had the Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Yeah, and that one's still, I think the Mortal Kombat versus DC is still under the Warner Brothers thing too.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like one of those, I feel at first they're like, yeah, go for it. But then I feel afterward, like, since you're here at Warner Brothers, could you just tone down
it down a little bit?
Tone down the attitude a little bit. We'll let you keep the blood and guts. That's fine. But, put a little bit more clothes on Melina. Give her pants this time or something like that. Even though I actually like Melina's outfit a lot in this one. I think she's got a cool looking outfit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just her standard one.
The outfits that she has in general in this game are awesome. In fact, I think Mortal Kombat 9 was out of control, let's be honest.
But it's in a fun kind of grindhousey way. Like that's what I like about it. Like it should be like that. I want to see bare-chested men, you know what I mean? Scantily clad people, blood and guts, just way over the top. That's what sort of makes Mortal Kombat kind of fun. There's that high fun factor. Where this one's a little bit more, I guess you would say, grounded in reality, just a fraction. It's like pulled back a bit. At first you might not notice it, but if you're kind of comparing them side by side.
Oh yeah, it's a 9-day difference. And the graphics I think are actually, playing 9 on my Series X, I thought that the graphics held up really well to today's standards. But this game is even... I don't want to say... it's hard for me to say that it's better. I feel like better isn't the right word. It's just kind of different. And it's like somewhere between polished game and realistic. And then 9, they really did a great... Or not 9. 11 was even nicer. And I think 1, obviously, you would hope... or expect to be the best so far, and it really is as far as graphic-wise go. Yeah.
Well, because even just 10 to 11 is actually a pretty huge jump. Because 10, I want to say, is still kind of an early days PS4, Xbox.
It is.
Xbox One game, because you can kind of tell like it's borderline, like it almost could have probably came out on 360 and PS3 still.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks better, but like, you almost could see it have a version like that, where by the time you see 11, you're like, oh, no, this is definitely the modern era game. I remember just feeling that kind of play in those ones back to back, but yeah, no, I think 10 is great. I think the story's still fun. I will say that comic book does kind of add a little bit more.
I think I got to pick that up because I didn't know about that for a long time until you told me.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. And I was just like, oh yeah, there was a Mortal Kombat 10 era comic book, and yeah, it's great. I think it's 3 or 4 graphic novels, and so I picked them up on Kindle, and they were like, I think like $4 a piece or something. So I paid like less than $20 for the entire series, and I thought it was really cool. It adds some different characters. It tells about that Civil War part of Melina and. Kotal Khan, of course, it throws Havoc in there as kind of the other villain in there and whatnot too, and some other characters, but showing kind of even like Scorpion and his kind of like transformation from being like NetherRealm Scorpion to be coming back to being himself again.
Yeah.
But so it adds a lot to it and so on like that. Even for the fact that when you play 10, once again, it does have that feeling that there's like you missed the game. Like it feels like there was some other part, or even if it sounds weird, it almost feels like if there was an expansion pack to number 9, like that, like I mean, maybe not the
that makes
full game,
sense.
but like there was like in a sense. Mortal Kombat 9 is Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and then if they did an expansion pack that was pretty much Mortal Kombat 4, that's what it sort of feels like. But it all takes place sort of in 10, and then of course with the comic books and so on. And you kind of can piece it all together as it's going on, no matter what. It's not like it's too like throwing you off. But I think at first it just feels like, wait a second, is there something I'm missing? But yeah, great game. Definitely worth going back to. It's one of those ones, like, it's another one of those ones that, just like other Warner Brothers things, like, they practically just give this game away. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see it come on sale for like Mortal Kombat XL for $4.99, and it's like sometimes I also want to be like, dude, why do you sell them so low? These games are worth they're worth so much more than that. Like these are the kind of games that if they never went on sale for less than $20, it would never be a problem because you're getting way more than $20 worth of content.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know why you're selling it cheaper than like somebody's crappy indie game.
Yeah.
And, it's even like there's another deal too. I literally just was scrolling through PlayStation and I see it. And it's like, I didn't buy it for this price, but there's that one deal. It's like it's $9.99. You get Mortal Kombat 11, the Super Edition, and you get Injustice 2, the Super Edition. You're like,
wow.
It's so stupidly cheap. I just don't know. It's like, dude,
why wouldn't you buy it?
Yeah, I almost want to buy it again, and I own the games. It's that good of a deal.
That's I bought Mortal Kombat 1 for like $26, and it was the complete edition or whatever. And I'm glad I did. Really glad I did. I don't know if I'd want to pay full price for that one, but
I've learned since Mortal Kombat 9. I say I've learned, but then I still make mistakes. But I've learned to kind of you wait a second on Mortal Kombat 8 because they are just going to drop them cheap. Same with those Injustice games too. And of course, I think both those Injustice games when they first came out.
It's hard, man. When you love these things, you're like,
well, that's the thing. Is like
I want it right now.
Yeah, it's like, and I never really, even though you feel like you kind of get boned, I don't feel like realistically content-wise, I don't.
If you enjoy it and you really like it, then whatever. Yeah, there are obvious things that they're going to screw you on if you buy everything right away. But I think that at this point in time, if you're still buying it right away, you're already aware of that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And I'll say the content at least delivers. You know what I mean? I never regret. It's not like you get a game, you're like, man, that game sucked. It's like, no, they're always good. They're always fun. And
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, well, except I don't think Kingdom Hearts 3 was $100.
No, it wasn't.
And even though that one
$10 would have been too expensive, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know. I have that. I've never really played the Kingdom Hearts to tell you the truth, but I bought the set that has it was on PS4.
6 different games.
Yeah, it's got literally 1, 2, 3, Dream Drop Distance, the PSP one, the DS one, the Game Boy. I don't know. It just has almost. It might be missing 1 or 2 for some reason, probably Nintendo ones. But because I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just give it the old college try and just see. I tried Kingdom Hearts 1. I had a hard time trying to get into it, but maybe with a more open mind. But I still have not sat down. I probably won't. I'll probably die, and that will still be sitting there.
But yeah, well, let's see here.
So that's our Mortal Kombat 10 fun-filled review. We had a good old time with it. Get pumped for some Mortal Kombat 2025. See how that movie turns out. We're gonna go through quite a bit more of this good old times. Other than that, any final words you got on Mortal Kombat 10?
All I know is I loved it, and look forward to doing the next one.
Yeah, just nothing but good times. Well, you can always find the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candito.
And we'll see you some other time.